Broadcast. How are you doing, Janine?
I'm good. Just got back from a vacation, so that was really nice.
Very nice. Yes, I
Yeah.
know. I was on vacation last week. My mom had hip surgery over the week, and I went to the beach again to stay with
Nice.
her. She did great. It was totally like it's so crazy. You can like get a whole hip replacement and be in and out in the same day now.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is, and she's like, "Can you come stay with my dog?" So I like went down there and stayed with her for a couple of days, but mostly just to entertain her dog. And my dad was there and helping her, and yeah, she was like doing so good. She's like up walking around the same day.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
yeah. I know. I didn't
Um,
know that either. So, anyways, we wanted to welcome you guys back. We want to
yeah.
start doing lives on Sunday evenings, and we wanted to talk about the Epstein files because that is what everybody's talking about now.
Yep.
And why not, right? Because it has to be the biggest 180 rug pull, stab in the back, slap in the face, spit in the face that has ever happened in American politics. Um,
Yeah.
and what are your thoughts, Jenny?
Well, I agree with your characterization. It's completely insane. I mean, Trump promised that these files would be released. That was one of the things his voters were relying on. And now they're pretending like, oh, there's nothing there. And the way that he addressed that reporter who actually directed a question to Pam Bondi about the files was also very strange. And of course, I mean, I want to say suspicious, but like, I'm not even suspicious. I just know that
Yeah.
they're covering stuff up, but saying like, wait, sorry, not Richard Epstein, Epstein, you're still talking about him? Like, what? This has been so long. Why are you still talking about him? I mean, that's an absolutely ridiculous response, and I think people are rightly outraged.
Right. Yeah. I think he got ratioed for the first time ever on Truth Social
Oh
last
wow,
night
wow,
with his, which, boomer win right there. Because
right,
even though I will give his followers credit on Truth Social because when he bombed Iran, they were very upset too. Like
yeah,
there has been some serious pushback because there has been some really terrible betrayals. And there are some contrarians like Michael Tracy who will like love to laugh in our faces and say, "Oh, I can't believe that you would believe him when he said he was anti-war. He was America first, blah blah blah." But you know what? Actually, he did tell us that, and a lot of his actions did signal that he was those things. And now we
and there
see,
were there were interviews with him going back to like the early 2000s where he was criticizing the Iraq war. He like there
yeah,
were good
yeah.
reasons to think that he was anti-war, and I actually think that he is, like, in his heart. I think that he
Mhm.
is just either being blackmailed or threatened.
Right. Or taking, kind of the easy.
Okay.
He's trying to split the baby, is what he's trying to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
that's the other thing. I think we've discussed that before. He's a little bit. I think he's a bit weak and easily swayed because he doesn't really have extremely strong convictions. But
right.
I don't think anybody should be shamed for believing that he was anti-war.
No,
I think he gave
I
as much reason as
agree.
anybody.
It's just so I get so annoyed. I don't know. Maybe I've got a little bit of a grudge I'm still holding against Michael Tracy for coming in and attacking me. Hold on, I got it. Sorry guys, I've got to uh, hide the bot comments and block. If you have a question, just leave it in the live chat. But yeah, so we wanted to talk about that. What's going on? What are the legal implications of what is happening right now? So I've read through last night. I read through the indictment, the 2019 indictment, which was actually kind of interesting because I was interested, number one, about the double jeopardy, right? So I was surprised to find out that the 2019 indictment was actually from 2002 to 2005
Mm.
allegations, right? Which I actually thought were already covered in the 2008 plea deal. And I know that you haven't looked at this. I haven't sent it to you yet, and
Yeah.
we'll discuss it more on Tuesday. But that was something that I thought was really interesting because we know that his escapades, his sexual escapades, did not stop in
Yeah.
2005. They did not stop in 2008. So this is a very specific time period that
Yeah.
indictment covered. It's just 3 years. And it's actually outside, I believe, of the scope of many of the accusers that we
Hmm.
know about, right? Like Virginia,
Yeah. Guilfoyle.
yeah,
Guilfoyle, I
whatever.
think.
Yeah,
She who committed suicide recently.
correct. Yeah, and she, I believe, was 99 to 2002. So it's a very interesting. When I actually went and pulled that specific indictment, I was really surprised last night by its
Mm.
contents because I expected them to be post 2008.
Yeah, so I haven't looked at that, so I can't speak to it. I mean, if it involves somewhat different allegations, like different victims,
Mm-hmm.
or different dates, yeah, like different specific acts, I guess that, even if some stuff was covered in the plea deal, then they could technically indict him for separate acts. I mean, generally speaking, I would say prosecutors tend not to do that because otherwise people aren't really gonna, they're not gonna take plea deals if they start to suspect that the prosecutor is just gonna try to find ways around them all the time. But
Right.
obviously, this is a unique case, probably like completely unique in history of the United States, if not the world. So
Yeah.
it's hard
So,
to speak to it exactly.
so I believe in 2008 he pled guilty to state charges. Now,
Yeah.
does double jeopardy apply federal and state?
No, so he could be charged federally with different
Okay. Okay.
crimes. Yeah. So and uh double jeopardy. So if unless he was acquitted or took a plea deal, double jeopardy, like to the specific charges, it doesn't apply. Again, like the federal prosecutors tend not to charge people, if they've already accepted a plea for similar acts at the
Uh-huh.
state level, because otherwise people are gonna, it kind of undermines the whole system where people, if they're like, well, I might take this plea and then get charged federally later, they're gonna be less likely to. But again, it's such an unusual case. I think, there might
But
be exceptions made.
I just thought about this. Wouldn't that actually make sense, though, if you were trying to cover up to charge him federally for something that has, then you don't actually introduce any new details into the system. If you can
Mm.
charge him for the same things again in the federal that he's already pled guilty to state wise, then if you're trying to not compromise people, not cover things, that's actually kind of
Well,
brilliant.
unless they wanted to go to trial or went to trial, because if you go to trial, then they're going to see the evidence and the witnesses and stuff. If they were hoping for
Right.
a federal plea deal, then that's a different, then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that I don't know. I think prosecutors are always hoping for a plea deal.
That's true.
In all, I only have a few years dealing criminal defense, and I've never seen a prosecutor that didn't want to plea it
Yeah,
out. So, um,
that that's true. I had a couple cases that were the crimes were so extremely awful that I don't think. I mean, or they would only offer like murder one, which like why would anyone plead to
right,
murder one? Because like it's
right,
the worst
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
But
I've only ever I got to sit uh at the council table for a um attempted murder, which they
mm,
would not take any, and it was a really bad case. It was a poor kid. He was a pizza delivery driver and he got attacked, and it was a really kind of sensational case here in Hope County, which is the county right next door.
mm,
And yeah, they weren't going to take any plea deal, and the evidence was really strong. So, and of course, then the client doesn't actually have any reason to not go to trial because why not?
right,
Roll your dice. Um, and so yeah, but that's the only time I've ever seen where they didn't want to plea it out.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting. I'll have to dig on that and see specifically what the charge is, because I know the 2008, it was such a sweetheart deal that he got. Just
Yes.
for people who don't know, there was a mother of a 14-year-old girl who actually really pursued. She went to the FBI, and I believe she was ignored by the FBI. And then she went to a state prosecutor, but she went to a local prosecutor who actually elevated it up to the state. And then we have somebody, James Acosta, who ended up working for the Trump administration, who he was the prosecutor in Florida who ended up working this really sweetheart deal. I didn't know this until last night, but apparently when Epstein was charged and he was this whole deal was getting worked out, this plea deal, he actually fled to Israel.
Yeah.
Of course he did. Why wouldn't he, right? Totally
Was
normal
he
stuff.
he was an Israeli citizen, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he flees to Israel and he stays there until they work out this. I've never even heard of a plea deal like this in which
Yeah.
a grown man, pleads guilty to sexual assault of a 14-year-old girl, and he's only given 14 months, but then half of it is like suspended
Yeah.
because he's serving it in county jail, and during the week he's actually out during the
Yeah.
day so he can work, and then he just reports to jail at night.
Yeah.
So he sleeps there. It's
Really,
ridiculous.
it was totally bizarre. Um, and I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I assume most of our viewers have some idea of the background, or I guess the, theory that most of us have. I hesitate to even call it a theory because the evidence is so strong. It's like beyond a
Yeah.
theory, but basically that he was working for Israeli intelligence, that this was an operation designed to get incriminating information on high up government officials so that they would do whatever Israel wants. If you look at the world, it kind of looks that way. And then if you also look at the Epstein case, there are so many like strange things about it, inexplicable, like Mel just talked about, this like sweetheart plea deal that nobody would ever get. And I mean, this was a very heinous sex trafficking ring. And I can't believe the accounts on Twitter who are now saying these weren't children, these were teenage girls. I mean, you have a teenage daughter.
Yeah, yeah. My daughter
Yeah.
is 12. My daughter's 12.
Okay,
She's
so
not
close,
quite
but
teenager. And
uh,
let me tell you something. These men would never make it to trial. They just would not. I'm not that kind of mom. I gotta say, not saying anything negative. I am a believer in vigilantism. Let's just say that, okay? Because you touch my kid and it's over. Actually, I had some psycho last night send me. I think what he thought was my address. It's just it's just some psycho Zionist. I get this kind of regular. This is the third time that this has happened to me. No one has ever actually sent me my address,
mm,
but they sent me addresses. And then this is now the second time that I've actually looked at it. The first time I was like, what the hell? And I just blocked it. But this is now the second time. And I look it up, and the person who lives there has my name. All
no.
right. Yeah. And so I never know what that's about, like, again, I'm not afraid. I am like stereotypical 2A Southern woman. We have a pit bull in the house. Like, I mean, just like, don't ever fuck with me kind of thing. Like, it
Yeah.
would be a very bad mistake. So I don't ever, like, I'm never afraid. But again, these people are psychopaths. But um, yeah. So when I think about someone like, I don't know, touching my kid, you know, taking advantage of her. Somebody messaged me a story last night about how these people would prey on like the poor, vulnerable kids out of West Palm
Mm,
Beach, right? And that just it made me so angry because
yeah.
these girls, and it's such a shitty thing to do. It's such a
Yeah.
just really low life thing to do. And I don't know. As a mother, it made me so angry thinking about
Well,
someone preying on vulnerable
I
girls.
know. And saying that
Yeah,
this isn't a crime or this isn't very serious. I mean, yeah, no, it's not the same
yeah.
as like molesting a 5-year-old. That's a different thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just a different thing. But I think it's right that society deems it a crime to
Yeah,
sleep with and traffic girls under 18 or children under 18. They're not able
right,
to make good decisions. They're extremely vulnerable to pressure.
right.
Their brains aren't developed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
adult men or adult people who take advantage of people under 18 like that deserve criminal punishment. Uh,
Yeah, it's
it's,
seeking out, economically vulnerable girls that, come from broken homes, come from, yeah, I mean, they
yeah,
know what they're looking for. There is, of course, there's a psychology involved in it. There's a
yeah,
profile that they are seeking out. And yeah, I just, again, I'm super I don't know, I think we need to use, I don't know, vigilante justice a little bit more perhaps. I'm a little bit brutal like that. But regardless, um yeah, when I see people online, I saw this loser last night, John Doyle. You probably don't know who he is. I barely know who he is, other than every now and then some of the podcasts I listen to reference, like, just make fun of him and whatnot. But I think at one time he was supposed to be like the corporate answer to Nick Fuentes,
Mm.
except for he's not. He's really stupid. So he doesn't, he can't actually pull
Yeah.
it off, you know? He's just not quick. He's very
Yeah.
scripted. I've watched some little clippets of his, but he put last night in a post basically saying that anyone who was going against Trump right now could go to hell. Any of these
Oh, I actually
influencers,
saw that point, post
right?
the
Yeah, I
other.
called him the Timu Matt
Yeah,
Bush.
that's I think
Yeah,
that's why I saw it. Yeah.
and but he put uh, teenage prostitutes. That's what he called them. And as if this was a willing thing. Number one, as if, that of course implies that these girls could give consent, which they can't. Okay,
Yeah.
when you're 14, you can't give consent. Sorry, asshole. I
Yeah.
don't care who she is. All right. When you're 15, you can't give consent. 16, most states, you still can't give consent. 17, 18, perhaps you can. But again, when you're being manipulated, when you
Yeah.
have these billionaires coming in and profiling you and preying on your
Yeah.
vulnerabilities, like, sorry, F you. Okay.
Yes. And
These
then
young girls,
trafficking you.
and then trafficking
Like
you.
it's not it's like I'm not in all anyway, excusing it's terrible for an adult man to like have a relationship with a young girl
Right. To
preying on her
prey on her.
vulnerabilities. But
Right.
it's another thing, it's like much worse to then make her have sex with your friends or whatever.
Right.
um which is what was going on here. So,
Yeah, to convince her, to get her to go along with all of this, is just, it's so
yeah.
despicable. And and so but then to see people, you've got the whole BAP network right now. And for people who don't know, that's the Bronze Age pervert guy. I always love it. People make fun of my name, Village Crazy Lady. I'm like, there's a dude out there who, apparently has the ear of the vice president, named Bronze Age pervert. All right. So I don't actually want to hear shit about the Village Crazy Lady. But the so the whole BAP network and whatnot, they're kind of running with, this was all consensual and it's all good. It was all on the up and up. Essentially, they were just kind of skirting the line of 17 to 18, kind of thing, which, excuse me, we know from the private lawsuits, we know from the civil lawsuits, we know from the 2008 indictment that is not true, that these girls were at times 14. We know from one of the civil lawsuits that there was a set of, I believe, twins or triplets that were 12 years old that were flown in from France. So no, that's not the case.
And regardless of what you think of the morality of it, which I think is pretty clear, but okay, if your opinion differs,
Yeah,
fine. It is illegal in
yeah,
every single state in the United States. So therefore, it is leverage against politicians or other
exactly,
powerful people if they have
exactly.
been doing it.
Exactly. We saw with Matt Gaetz. We saw with Matt Gaetz, who, again, believed he was, dating, seeing a woman who was of age, because of course he was tricked into this, right? And because she, the woman that he saw, stole the identity of an of age woman. And we
Mm.
saw the ways in which they tried to use that and blackmail him against it. Now, just think of that small, tiny case on an industrial scale.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
God bless him, Matt Gaetz never once buckled. He didn't go along with
Yeah.
their plan. And what did they do? They literally destroyed him. They
Yep.
destroyed his political career
Yep.
easily.
And
And
he's been surprisingly openly critical of Israel recently.
right, because he
I've
doesn't,
been
because
sort
they
of
have nothing over him. I mean,
yeah
they already,
anymore.
they laid the cards out, right? They
Well,
tried.
yeah, when he was not like I had seen him say some things about Israel's undue influence, but he wasn't particularly he had never expressed concern about what was happening to the Palestinians. But then I saw him.
Right.
He had our friend Dave DeCamp on the other day,
Yes. Yes.
and
I saw.
he said, "All I see is them bombing rubble, like rubble and children and women. Like, what are they doing?" So, he's clearly coming around, at
Yeah.
least being open to, openly.
To acknowledging and recognizing it's not just about the control over Israel. It is actually the atrocious, inhumane things that Israel is doing against the Palestinians. Which I
Yeah.
know for you and I, that's number one, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what we have to stop to begin with, and then we can deal with the control that Israel has over the U.S.
Well, they're inseparable too, right? Like,
Right, right. The one
because
could not happen without the other.
exactly, right. The only
Right.
reason Israel is able to get away with this is our support, and they only have our support because, presumably a lot of people are being blackmailed, threatened, whatever, and that's how
Right. It
these things are
doesn't.
connected.
It's I tried to bring a little attention to it, and I'm going to write a thread on it this week. I'm going back to the UNC library this week to really get into the federal depository. Everyone's like, why don't you just look online? I'm like, because sometimes you actually don't even know what you're looking for,
Yeah.
and you would be surprised. Yes, most of this stuff is found online, but what's really awesome is if you go to a federal depository, you can actually just tell them, I want these are the years, and tell me every hearing, show me where every hearing is, and I want to see the transcripts of all of them.
Hmm.
Regardless,
Wow.
I was talking about Bobby Baker. So who, for people who don't know who Bobby Baker was, he
That would
was.
include me.
Yeah.
I don't
so
know.
so Bobby Baker was LBJ's chief of staff when he
Okay.
was in the Senate, right? And what happened is LBJ becomes vice president, but Bobby Baker is like this kind of, he is a deal maker. He's like basically the king of the hill in the late 50s and early 60s. But he starts running these kind of like Russian prostitutes. Well, not per se necessarily for Russia, but they are Russian. These women, there's one in particular, her name is like Kathy something. She's like supposedly super beautiful. I don't know, I looked her picture up, I didn't actually think she was that beautiful, but whatever floats your boat. I don't, sometimes some of these like early 50 or late 50s early
Yeah.
60s pictures, they don't
D-
do them justice. Yeah,
Different well, yeah, and also just different
different
standards of beauty.
standards, but
Sometimes
yeah.
I see the like pictures of the women from like the
Yeah,
1800s who were considered gorgeous, and I'm like, what?
I know. Let me pull up her picture so y'all can see. Because she was really famous. And okay, Ellen Romptes. I don't even know how to say that. Y'all know I butcher those names. Let me see. Okay, let's share this, and y'all can. Um, there we go. So, I mean, it's not like I think she's ugly by any means, but I don't know, guys. I just don't see it. The fact that apparently this woman seduced JFK, all of these senators, congressmen, things like that. She was just considered this really, really beautiful woman who all of the men wanted,
Huh.
right? I don't know. I look at Jackie Kennedy. I think she's significantly more beautiful, but
Yeah. Maybe she
uh,
just wasn't very photogenic.
right. And then whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Bobby Baker was the guy who, again, he's the one who kind of like ran Ellen Romchess, or however you say her name. And, but he was LBJ's chief of staff prior to LBJ becoming vice president. And then this guy ran this kind of like sex ring, and he was known for running these underground gambling circuits and whatnot. And then right before JFK gets killed, the scandal breaks about Bobby Baker, right? And
Yeah.
Bobby Kennedy, who again was the attorney general at the time, he's trying his best to not let this derail his other investigations, which he's got going on, which I'm going to detail in some threads later on because they are important, what they kind of lead to. But It's really fascinating because the 5 days prior to JFK getting assassinated, there is this uh, op-ed, or there's this series of stories that is ran in the New York Times every single day, and it's 5 stories long, and they end with what was supposed to be this kind of culmination on Bobby Baker, and it was really going to like bust the whole story open because again, he was trafficking prostitutes to like all of DC at
Wow.
this time, right? Then JFK gets shot and killed. The whole story goes under,
Oh, wow.
and all investigation into Bobby Baker is just kind of like swept under the rug. And I believe he pled guilty to like something, but I don't even think
Huh.
he ever went to prison or anything. And he was like doing a lot of stuff. He was like tax evasion. You know, back then everybody pretty
Yeah.
much just pled guilty to tax evasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. At least back then you could at least get some kind of felony conviction, right?
Yeah.
But so I was kind of like saying last night that Bobby Baker was the initial Epstein because they said that
Yeah.
he had all the dirt on everybody. He knew what kind of girls everybody liked, and then that's what he did, and that's how they ran these favors under the
Oh,
table. But
interesting.
he was tied into the kind of cartel that ran the, you know, they were initially in Cuba and then they went out to Vegas. And so yeah, so and again, if you look into the history of all of these tie-ins, they're tied in to the CIA and to the Mossad. Definitely. So
Mm.
this is not new. Nothing about Epstein is new. I am sure that there's already another Epstein in place. Just like as soon as Bobby Baker fell, there was another, you know, Bobby Baker in place because this is
Yeah.
how these towns run.
Do you think,
Okay.
actually, I have two questions. So, how do you think Epstein got conscripted into this role, given that he was just like what did he do? He advised people on their taxes or something like
No,
that?
he was a teacher at
Oh,
the
right.
at Darden
Dalton.
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 I said
Yeah,
Darden.
he was a
Yeah.
teacher, right? And then they
Hmm.
claimed he made a lot of money advising people on their taxes, but there was something I read something like that.
I think later on, that's how they were justifying these
Uh,
massive payments. So it turns out we know from 2022 lawsuit against JP Morgan that was filed by 15
right.
of the victims that Epstein had, and also the Virgin Islands. It wasn't just the
Right.
victims. So JP Morgan paid out $229 million to the Epstein, to 15 of Epstein's victims. That's not including the 85 million that they paid out to the lawyers of those victims.
Mm.
So it was a total lawsuit of let's see, what, 229 plus 85, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then um, the Virgin Islands sued JP Morgan, and apparently they also sued Wells Fargo as well. Everything was settled extremely fast, but in these lawsuits, what they alleged against JP Morgan was that the transactions were giant red flags that they should have been notifying the
Right.
federal authorities on.
Right.
And again, you got to ask why. What about these transactions signaled that sex trafficking was going on? So
Right.
then one tiny thing that we know that leaked from these files was that Epstein in a 15-year period processed $1 billion,
Wow.
which I feel like those numbers get thrown around a whole lot. So it's hard for us to conceptualize because we hear about, oh, we sent $3 billion to Israel every year, $1 billion in 15 years. No, when you're talking about personal people, like just you
Yeah.
and I, sending and receiving $1 billion worth of money,
Yes.
I mean, that's just a shit ton of
I don't know
money.
any teachers.
You don't know any teacher. This
No.
man never graduated from college.
Yeah.
Okay. When someone, I forget who it was, said that he was his financial advisor, they asked him, okay, well, again, this is in another lawsuit that came out. They asked him specifically, what kind of advice was he giving you? And it was essentially like, tax filings for 101 bullshit that they
Yeah.
handed over and said,
Yeah.
this is what he told us to do. You know, it was nothing. It wasn't secrets. It wasn't like ways to evade. And of course, you know, some could say, well, there's reasons why they wouldn't want to give up the ways in which they were evading their taxes. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, one would think if that's suspicious, why isn't the IRS looking into these
Yeah.
people? pulling up their
Yeah.
old tax filings. And of course, that never happened either. None of these people have ever been charged with tax evasion.
Yeah.
So we know it's all BS, right? And he was getting paid for something, and it sure as shit wasn't for his, non-educated advice on taxes.
And
Yeah.
so, what's your theory about the 180 from the Trump administration on this?
Oh, I mean, I,
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no, I struggle with this because most people know, well, actually, most people don't know this, but I was pretty anti-Trump from 2021 till 2023, essentially. After October 7th, I warmed to him a little bit because he's the only candidate who wasn't like licking Israel's boots 24/7.
Yeah.
He, in fact, he actually called out Netanyahu, as we've discussed before, right after October 7th. And then he was really quiet until like March, right? He didn't say anything. Certainly
Yeah.
not like DeSantis was, who was just
Oh,
so
yeah.
pathetic
Yeah.
in his ways. And with the ways everybody was just falling over, why stand with Israel? We'll give them anything,
Yeah.
bomb more children and whatnot. So I definitely warmed to him after that. But um I mean, we got to be fair. Epstein initially was arrested in 2019 on Trump's watch. He was murdered in his cell in 2019 in a federal prison on Trump's watch.
Yeah.
And that was covered up on Trump's watch. So I mean, it was never my thing. It wasn't like something I got super, super into. Um, I've read Whitney Webb's book, One Nation Under Blackmail.
Yeah.
I'm almost finished with Jonathan Marshall's book, The Dark Quadrant, which if I had to pick one of the two, I would definitely pick Marshall's book. It's easier to understand, easier to process, even though it's not quite as like focused, but you still get most of the important information.
Yeah.
That said, I you have to. I don't think Trump is a kid diddler by any means. I just
Yeah.
don't.
But
I
you
think
think
that
they have something on him.
I think
You think
I
Elon
would
Musk was telling the truth when he
I
when he
wouldn't
was
be
in a
surprised.
K-hole and
And I said this at the time. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump's
Yeah.
name actually is in those files. I still don't think he's a kid diddler. I think that that's a very specific vice that I don't think that you like just do every now and then.
Yeah.
It's not like coke on, when you go to Vegas or something like that. It's like something like when people have that, it's a sickness, it's an illness. Not making any excuses. Everybody knows what I think should happen to those people. Regardless, I think that people that have that vice, they do it all the time, and I think that's just something that would come out eventually. So I don't think that that's
I
him.
don't know. So I think like 17, 18-year-old girl, like I do think there's a significant difference, and I'm not saying like it's okay at all, but I do think there's a significant difference. But yeah, exactly. Like a 5-year-old different from a 17-year-old. Like it's still wrong to
obviously,
be. But I wouldn't
one
be
is illegal,
shocked.
one is immoral.
Yeah, or even a 16-year-old who looks older, like it totally illegal and immoral, but not the same as a
Right.
5-year-old. Just at sort of a different level.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked if it turned out that he had like slept with some 16-year-old who looked 22 and
Yeah. I don't know. I know. I always think like Melania was like 30 when they got married,
Yeah, but he
I
was
don't
old. Maybe
he
there's
was
something
old.
familiar.
He was old. He just, I don't know. I don't see it like that. And it could be maybe he just was into young girls kind of thing. I think if his name is in the files, it's going to be for shady business deals.
Yeah.
I actually think that's what it would be. I think that that's the most likely thing because I don't think that the blackmail ended or started or ended at just sexual blackmail. I think that there was
other
deals
stuff
going on. I think that I again we saw the lengths that Joe Biden was willing to go to for his son. How do we know that
Yeah.
maybe one of Trump's kids isn't
Right.
in the
That's actually a
files?
good point. He could be covering for somebody else who's not him.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
you look at somebody like Jared Kushner, who
Yeah.
Trump definitely loves. Clearly, I mean, he adores his daughter Ivanka,
Yeah.
or Ivana is what? It's Ivanka or
It's
Ivana?
Ivanka. The mom's
Ivanka,
Ivana.
yeah, um, is definitely his favorite.
Yeah.
You look at the family that Kushner comes from, which is just a degenerate family up and down the board. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know anything about Jared Kushner's father, who
Uh,
actually went to
Didn't he go
federal
to
prison
prison? Yeah.
for blackmailing his brother by hiring a hooker to seduce him. It was just, and then Trump, of course, pardoned him. Um,
Uh,
Jared Kushner's brother is married to Carly Kloss, who I thought was very interesting during the 2020 campaign, because neither one of them, not only did they not endorse Trump, they actually endorsed Biden,
oh
and
wow.
they posted on their social media,
Yeah.
which I kind of thought was really in bad taste, and
Yeah.
especially because Trump had been pretty good to their family. It was kind of a real slap in the face kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because Trump still seems very loyal to that family. So it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe there's something in there with them. They're a bunch of
Yeah.
degenerates. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I
Um.
gotta again. And again, I know everybody's gonna say, of course, it's just Trump. Trump's in the files, and maybe. I don't know. I don't see it. I feel like if he was really into young girls, there would be others, there would be other blackmail schemes. It would have come out, right? I feel like
Yeah.
Letitia James would not have had to do that lame ass. He
Yeah.
overvalued his, Mar-a-Lago to
Yeah.
charge him. Like, that's so lame. It's such a lame charge. As if
Yeah.
everybody, as if she literally wasn't guilty of the shit herself. Like, she literally did the exact same thing
Yeah.
when she secured
Yeah.
her own loans. So
Yeah.
it, I don't know. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about, people say like, oh, oh, he's not paying 40 chess. I'm like, what you're talking about with this kind of like multitude of things is, I mean, this is like 18D chess that they would have to be playing, and all of the stacking. I don't know. I don't like
Yeah.
any of it. I'm tired of them making excuses for pedophiles. I'm tired of them making excuses for immoral behavior. I'm tired
Yeah.
of the excuses for why we can't go after these people now. If it was you or I or any of the normal people that we see on the street every day, their asses would be in prison.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And it's the double standard, and it's the 2-tier, 3-tier justice system. And I think people are just tired of it. I
Yeah.
know I'm
Well,
tired of
and
it.
then when we all know, like, the worst part, or arguably the worst part, which is that this is all happening because we have to protect this foreign country
Mhm.
that's committing genocide
Right.
because
Right.
they have stuff on our leaders. It's like equally, I mean, not
Right.
equally, it's so enraging. And people,
Yeah.
these like things, you're obsessed with Israel, you're obsessed with Israel. I don't want to be obsessed with Israel. I'd love to never think
Right.
about Israel again. But like, this is so insane that that this is the world we're living in. That this country is like blackmailing our leaders into supporting genocide. They're killing, I mean, today they killed 7 children who were standing in line for water, 20 people, including 7 children. And they said, oh, they made a
Yeah.
technical error with where the missile is. They've killed, what I just read, they've killed an average of 27 children a day since October 7th. A classroom full of children a day they've
Yeah.
killed since October 7th. And we, like, they couldn't do it without us. It's
Right.
utterly outrageous.
It's so enraging. The other day I'm scrolling on my timeline, and I see this like just precious little boy, and he's got this really mischievous
Mm,
smile on his face, and it made me smile when I saw his face, because I thought it was just a fundraiser when I saw
yeah.
it, right? And then I read the thing, and he just made me happy. And then I read the thing, and no, this baby's dead
Yeah.
now. because he has been murdered while he was standing in line for food. And I
Yeah.
wanted to throw my phone. It was
Yeah.
such like a smack in the face, you know?
Yeah.
Um, the gore pictures are awful, but honestly, the pictures of the baby smiling and
Yeah.
then no, this baby's dead now,
Yeah.
those like they do something to me. Like they
Yeah.
make me raging bitch mad.
Yeah.
Okay. They make me want to, and you guys can always tell because you go in my mentions and I'm like, I'm cussing people out. I'm going straight up crazy bitch on people because you know, I'm a mom, like, and you're a mom
Yeah.
and you just think like these precious babies and they're so
Yeah.
freaking sweet. All of them. I mean, all
I
children
know.
are just precious. They just are.
But if this was
And
any other ethnicity, there's no way. If they were Jewish, no way would the world accept this. This would
never,
not be happening. If they
never.
were Swedish, this would. If they were blonde and blue-eyed and named,
Well, we saw with the New
Kristen
York
and
Post. We
yeah,
saw with the New York Post put a picture, they of a baby who had been murdered by Russia. And you know what? That
yeah,
baby's
yeah,
death is tragic. And
absolutely, yeah,
I am not trying to uh kind of poo-poo it or
yeah.
lessen what it
Minimize it,
is,
yeah,
minimize what
yeah,
happened to him. And I hate
yeah.
that I didn't comment on it at the time, even though I was like, what the,
Yeah, but
like,
it's the
right.
lack of
It's the fact
compassion
that
for
Israel's been murdering
yeah.
babies every day.
27, an average of
Yeah.
27 children a day for almost 2 years. That's insane. I like that's
Yeah. Yeah. And and again, with American bombs, with American money, with American diplomatic cover, with the total you know, uh access to all American soft power, hard power, whatever it is,
yeah.
it is at their total disposal. I was going to ask you, or anybody that's watching, do you guys know, did Netanyahu leave? Because there was a note last Thursday, I believe it said he was going to stay till Monday. And then I haven't
Oh,
seen whether or not he has left DC or not.
I'm not
And
sure. I know he was here a couple days ago.
let me look it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He I was out of town when he arrived, so I was grateful for that. 'Cause I don't want to be
Oh,
anywhere
yeah,
near
I
that
know,
man.
because you're in DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, he left. Okay, so
Good.
let's see. He left. Looks like he left 2 days ago. He flies home with no peace deal. So
I mean, I can think of nothing more disgusting than the fact that he's welcomed into the White House while they're sanctioning Francesca Albanese, the UN rapporteur, for opposing the genocide. It's just disgusting. I mean, it literally is just, ugh.
it is. And our friend Glenn Greenwald, who we love,
Yeah.
just had Francesca Albanese on
Yes.
his show. I will link it. I haven't watched it yet, but I wanted to watch. I watched Sager on Tucker. I don't
Oh,
even know
okay.
Sager's last name. Do you know? He's from Breaking Point.
No. No,
Um,
yeah,
He was
yeah,
so
yeah, I
good.
know.
It was
Oh,
so
okay,
good.
I should
And
watch that.
I thought of you because he talked about, because you and him are very similar. You guys are both in DC. You're kind of like hot, young professionals. And he talked about kind of the exclusion that happens when you go against Israel
Yeah.
professionally, right? And he
Yeah.
talked about no longer was he invited to these cocktail parties, no
Yeah.
longer to the onto TV shows, no longer onto podcasts. He wasn't called or asked for his comments on, and you used to go on Fox News all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. And I used to get,
Yeah,
I mean, this is not like Max Nordahl likes to like throw this in my face and be like, "You ruined your career." Ha ha ha. Like whatever. I stood up against genocide, so I'll always choose
yeah,
that over anything else.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was constantly and like invited to speak at events. I get basically nothing now. Like I get some invitations onto alternative media,
Hmm.
like Glenn's, I've been on Glenn's show or
Yeah.
similar types of shows, but almost nothing. I mean, part of it may be that the COVID era is over and that was kind of my thing.
True, true.
but but I suspect it goes beyond that.
Right. I think what we're seeing now, because I don't watch a lot of, my mom and dad watch Fox News. So when I was down there this past weekend, it's interesting though, because they don't watch it as much as they used to, right?
Uh,
My parents, they're my gauge. And
mhm.
they, of course, love me and are super supportive of me. They're wonderful parents. And they have changed their tune on Israel a lot. Um, they're not like me, they're not like hardcore like me, but they're also really good people. Like, they're extremely
Yeah.
sympathetic when they see these children. Like,
Yeah.
they want it all to end. It's like
Yeah.
they've wanted it to end for a long time. They are not like those, fuck around, find out kind of people.
Yeah.
That is not them at all. But what I thought was so interesting was that they're like done with Fox News. They don't want to
Huh.
hear it. They
Huh.
turn it off.
Interesting.
We were down there, and I think in the like 2.5 days that we were there, I maybe saw 30 full minutes of Fox News, which,
Mm.
for people who are like me, who have like boomer parents, right wing,
Yeah.
y'all know how it is. You're watching like 5 hours of Fox News a day. Okay. So for me to say there's only 30 minutes, like, it
Yeah.
was, yeah, I mean, they've just turned it off. They just,
Yeah. Wow.
why? Because I think deep down they know it's like
It's
bullshit.
propaganda. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
propaganda. They're, especially like, my mom was interesting because she's not like really up on the whole Epstein thing, but she even told me, she said, "What do you think about this?" She goes,
Uh-huh.
"There's something very weird going on
Uh-huh.
here." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Mom,"
Yeah.
and I like fill her in, and she's like, "Okay, I know that might be it, but it's weird." You know? I love her. She's
Well,
great.
I
Yeah.
wanted, before we go, I wanted to ask you if you think the public is going to let the Epstein thing
No.
go, or if
No.
you think
No.
you
No.
think the Trump administration is going to have to do something.
I think they have to do something, and I worry that there's some kind of, like, I don't want to say deep fake, but I don't
Hmm.
think we're gonna get all of it now. And I think that they've actually kind of fucked up the rollout of whatever it was that they were gonna do with Trump. I mean, it was so bizarre. His post last night on Truth Social was so weird,
Hmm.
right? And so out of left field, doesn't make any sense kind of thing, that I'm like, what is going on
That's
here?
so
To the
weird.
point where a lot of people, like the Trust the Planners, they were like, it's the Streisand effect. He's doing this.
Yeah.
This is all. He's drawing attention to it. And I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
I only have so much patience for that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, this is dumb. What you're doing is
Yeah.
dumb, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll see.
we'll see. We'll be
Unfortunately,
back.
yeah,
I
we'll
know.
be
We'll be
back,
back next Sunday.
and we'll probably do a recorded episode in the meantime too.
We will, yes, but we will be back on a live next Sunday, and we will try to answer your questions. And I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna dig on that 2008 indictment, and I'm gonna juxtapose it to the 2017 one.
Oh,
I'm gonna
you know what?
see.
I'm flying back from Nashville. I have a wedding in Nashville next weekend on
Ooh,
Sunday
that'll be
night. So
fun. Okay,
I
so we
can't
won't
do, I
be
can't, we
doing.
won't be here. And I have another
Yeah,
wedding on Monday. It's the weirdest in DC. Like, I haven't been to a wedding in
yeah.
like 10 years
I
because
was
I'm
gonna
older.
say.
And
I
then I
know. I
have
was
two
gonna say,
weddings in
how are
one
you gonna be
weekend,
invited to
and
weddings? Yeah.
someone's on Monday, which,
I know, it's so
but,
funny.
yeah.
I was in Chapel Hill the other night, or the other day, and I was like, I was at I saw Top of the Hill, which it was like a small wedding that I went to, but they had a really nice, super fun, and I was like, it's been 5 years since I've been to a wedding. What the
Yeah.
hell, you know?
This is what happens when you get old. No one's
Yeah,
getting married
I know.
anymore.
No one gets
the
married.
last the last wedding I was at was my own a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So two in one weekend,
Okay.
weird. But yeah. But we'll be back with a live
Yeah,
next week.
yeah. So we'll wrap it up. But bye, guys.
Bye guys.